Welcome to the Grill Focus on AVOD, presented by FilmRise. Thank you so much to TheWrap for having us. I am Daniel Christman, SVP of the cross-platform group at Screen Engine ASI.
Hi, I'm Tejas Shah. I'm SVP of Commercial Strategy and Analytics for FilmRise.
FilmRise and Screen Engine began our conversation at the end of 2021 about going on a streaming discovery mission. The timing really could not have been any better, as the majority of SVOD players have reported flattening subscriber growth, and we've all seen heavy hitters like Netflix turning their focus to ad-supported and ad-light models to fuel, or we might say refuel, user acquisition.
Yeah, and this was just an opportunity for FilmRise to better understand who our audience is and understand that within the context of the broader AVOD universe. FilmRise Streaming Network is a collection of 20 plus apps and more than 30 live streaming channels or fast channels. And so, with that diverse slate of content and a significant user base, it's definitely hard to get a holistic view of who our audience is. And so this was this was objected to do that.
The study fielded late Q1 with a very robust sample size, nearly 3,000 consumers of weekly online film and TV content. We, of course, took a special look at FilmRise users and were able to do some really deep dive profiling to go along with our overall mission to uncover fascinating market trends. While embarking on a study of this nature is very broad with lots of organic objectives that we find exciting and entertaining, the potential for surprises adds a bit of a thrill to this entire journey we're on. And to that end, we feel really fortunate that we saw a good balance of kind of expected indicators, but then also some really thought-provoking idiosyncrasies that could help FilmRise and their partners outperform the marketplace.
Yeah, exactly that. I mean, the surprises are what I'm here for. We're at FilmRise, we're a very data-driven company, whether it's our content acquisition strategy or our curation and recommendation system and our ability to surface content to our users. But even with all that wealth of data, we still needed an extra lens or perspective on the profile of not just our users, but also the overall AVOD market. So looking forward to getting into some of these insights.
So to kick us off with a really awesome data point here, only 1 in 5 plan to add an incremental SVOD in the next year. So that may be kind of a little bit more in line with our expectations now than when we fielded in Q1, but there just isn't an overwhelming urge among consumers to add more paid subscriptions to their monthly budgets, especially as we kind of head into all of this recession talk. And we know the demand for content is as great now as ever, so this sets up as an extremely favorable story for those involved in ad-supported content creation and delivery.
This insight here is core to FilmRise's business model and our leaning into the AVOD and fast market. We can see, it's anecdotal, but then we can see it in this survey as well. The reticence for our audience to increase the number of services that they have is just really getting costly to this point. And as customers cut the cord, they're used to having the free experience that broadcast networks provide, and FilmRise is aiming to provide the same thing.
All demo groups have migrated away from live TV. I think we kind of all know that to be true inherently. This is one of our favorite slides, but a bit of an eye chart. So look at the top left, maybe start with the total here, and focus kind of on the SVOD, the fast AVOD, and live TV through cable and satellite. The concept of this question was, what is your first touch point when you're in the living room? Where do you start your content journey each and every day? When we asked this in maybe 2010, live TV and DVDs topped that list, but wow, have things really changed, right? The living room has been truly democratized, and that's fantastic news for the fast AVOD players who continue to chip away at and become the default for millions of households.
Yeah, this is one of the most exciting insights to come out of this research. As the cord cutting evolves and continues at a faster rate, quarter by quarter, our aim at FilmRise and the broader AVOD and fast ecosystem is to provide a landing spot for all of these new streamers. And so providing an experience that they're familiar with is really important to us. And clearly, through this data, you're seeing that the audience has been receptive That being said, though, it's also exciting because there's clearly a lot of room for improvement. And kind of going back to the prior slide, where given that SVOD saturation is slowing down, and actually there's even an element of cutting there as well, we're well positioned being a free alternative to both traditional cable television and SVOD services.
We took a look at the how and the where. So while the content delivery methods have changed dramatically, another massive adjustment across the content ecosystem has been around audiences embracing of binging. This will resonate with just about any of us as we wear our consumer hats. We kind of all know that we're engaging in this activity. And when looking at FilmRise specifically, you see the orange bars here. They've done a really admirable job aggregating content that keeps viewers engaged for extended periods of time. That's that 120 plus minute mark. And that's almost a 2-to-1 clip versus some of the other players in this space. So as SVOD platforms have kind of reverted in some ways to that more weekly content delivery approach, trying to build their water cooler, it's a great opportunity for FAST and AVOD platforms to kind of move into that space and pursue even more of the binging market share.
This is what FilmRise prides itself on. Like I mentioned before, we're a data-driven company. So our content strategy, curation, discovery on the app, even the ad experience, it's all driven towards the consumer, providing the most optimal user experience, knowing that our audience over indexes in terms of their hours per sitting is really gratifying and validates our work in this space. Having an engaged user also provides a lot more opportunities to advertisers as well. So it's a value proposition both to the user and to marketers all over the marketplace.
And if you look at FilmRise users across the entire ad ecosystem, looking at the chart here and starting at the top, commercials through a paid streaming service, all the way down to radio, billboards, etc. It's really great to see that FilmRise users are more receptive to ads across the entire advertising landscape. So if you consider that FAST and AVOD platforms have kind of self-selecting user bases that don't mind or even enjoy some ads, FilmRise excels there more than the other platforms. So that makes it an extremely efficient place for brands to communicate directly to the most receptive consumers.
This is really where we need a screen engine. It's difficult to surface this type of an insight based on viewership data. Knowing our audience is showing this kind of receptiveness to ads is great and underscores our audience's value proposition to marketers. And I think as we go forward through this study, we'll see other ways that our audience is best placed for marketers.
And this is where we take a quick look at who is using FAST and AVOD platforms. Overall, I think we kind of hope that ad-supported space bears many of the similarities to the general population, meaning all brands can reach all populations, and that's largely true. But each platform certainly has its own identity based on the curation of the content. FilmRise specifically stands out with greater household income than both the general population and the FAST AVOD users on other platforms, and that means spending power. So that's fantastic to see. And FilmRise also enjoys an ethnic skew for brands looking to reach Black and Hispanic audiences.
FilmRise saw some of this insight in our own data, and it helps inform our content strategy. We want to be able to offer a catalog that appeals to a diverse audience. The fact that it shows a level of spending power as well is really exciting. Again, this plays into our value proposition, showing advertisers that we have a diverse collective and that we continue to enforce our content strategy with these data points to further serve them, drive those hours per sitting, like we mentioned before. It all comes together with what we see right here.
And to further dispel the myth, if it still even exists, the audiences on ad-supported platforms aren't paying for content. You can see from the overlap between AVOD and SVOD that we've hit a critical mass where most people are doing a bit of everything, right? And that sets up really nicely for those in the FAST and AVOD space, or any advertisers that may have had kind of a question about who's left in that slice of the pie that's SVOD only. Placing ads on streaming platforms is great. It's super efficient, and it's a way to hit a massive cross-section of the overall consumer base.
Ultimately, we wanted to see if we can prove that incrementality of FAST and AVOD on top of SVOD. I think this hits it right on the head. As more cutters move to streaming, they're going to expect a similar viewing experience that they were used to in traditional TV. What we provide in AVOD and FAST is that same free experience that broadcasters provide. Our fast channels are 24/7 free live feeds of content. And AVOD provides that optionality, saying, okay, well, if I know exactly what I want to watch, I can go ahead and pick that. We see some of these SKUs developing or skewing closer to FAST and AVOD going forward, as we see some of those late adopters moving over to streaming in the next few years.
Tejas just referenced talking about optionality. Why do users enjoy each content delivery model? This question was asked open-ended, so off the top of your head, why do you like SVOD, AVOD, and cable? On a first glance, this makes total sense. Content selection at the top for SVOD, free for ad-supported, and simplicity for cable. Grab the remote, go. It makes sense. We're going to come back to this slide, so bear with us here. We drilled down a bit more for FilmRise. The top grouping here is the rating for content on FilmRise. Really solid scores across the board. And in general, looking at the bottom bucket, which represents user experience, we see that users are very satisfied with the experience overall. And that really is the lingering question about this space. What is the optimal ad load? And how can platforms ensure ad variety?
There's a lot of speculation around those last two questions. What is the optimal ad load? How can platforms ensure ad variety? It's definitely sort of the holy grail that FilmRise is still trying to achieve. But ultimately, it's nice to see that our efforts are trending us in the right direction. Ultimately, what I see from the content side of things is especially gratifying, where we're not only providing some of that older classic movies and TV shows and a large collection of things that are familiar to our audience, but we're also able to introduce new originals and new releases to our audience.
So coming full circle here, we followed up that open-ended satisfaction question with a list that we let users select from. And what really caught our attention was that FAST and AVOD platforms actually share that ease of use benefit that cable is known for. And that could be a marketing communications opportunity for FilmRise and some of others in the space. The ad-supported ecosystem is an ideal means of content discovery for those who can't afford it, or as we're finding from the study, simply just don't want another subscription, credit card line item, a username or a password.
Yeah, this insight right here is what was most validating to FilmRise. Ultimately, ease of use is what we want to reflect the most. Our app does not require a login, does not require passwords. As soon as you download the app, you're ready to watch. In terms of cost efficiency, it's free. So it was really nice to see that these these components of our user experience that FilmRise focused on are motivators for our core audience. And we look forward to serving them even more going forward.
In closing, we don't think we're putting ourselves out there too much when we say the era of explosive SVOD user growth has come to an end. But now we're stepping into a new and exciting phase where consumers are curating their own kind of bouquet of SVOD, AVOD, and FAST platforms, allow them to prioritize budget, content, variety, ease of use. Tejas?
Yeah, hopefully these findings provide some food for thought, and we look forward to continuing the conversation going forward with all of our ad partners. Thanks a lot.